I will die on that hill.
I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
You have failed this.
Love this show.
The sickest night ever.
Is this?
What are we doing?
No. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunner, also known as Chico Noise, two-time podcast host, soon to be three-time podcast host.
Oh.
And the co-creator of the fast food road trip. Have I ever told you about the fast food road trip?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fast food road trip is something that Jared and I created back in high school after we both got our driver's licenses, and we would go to 3 different fast food restaurants, get one thing from each restaurant and eat it. So like one place would get a burger, the next place we get fries, the next place we get some other side. So we'd stop at 3 different places and get 3 different things from those places.
You could
What?
tell that is a I just got my license type of
Oh,
move
yeah.
because you
Oh,
just
yeah.
want to drive.
Yep. And that's what we did. When we did it for a while, even after that, we'd do it occasionally and just stop at multiple places and get something random and move on to the next place. And always the drive-through. We never went in. We just hit the drive-through and then we'd just eat it on the way home or get back home and eat it or whatever. But
Yeah,
it was a good time.
That's a bit odd.
It's not odd. It was a good time. We always called it the FFRT. Time to go on a fast food road trip. But yeah, Jared and I when we were younger, we would do it all the time. But I can't even tell you the last time. And now Sarah's adopted it, and she's always like, "We should do a fast food road trip." And I don't think I've ever done one with her. I'm always like, I have this thing where I just absolutely hate drive-throughs now. I can't
Really?
stand them. Like there's always something wrong with your order, always, and then it takes forever, and it's just people are just.
Well, are you that dude who's like, yeah, I want a Big Mac, but I don't want any of the special sauce.
Oh, no, dude.
I want just ketchup and mustard.
Nope. Give it to me the way it's supposed to be made. The thing is, we'll order, me and Sarah will order our meals and then something else, and then one thing won't be there. And it's like, so then you have to go in and like the Taco Bell here in Plymouth, you go there and, you order off the dollar menu or whatever. I don't ever order a meal at Taco Bell, but like you order whatever and then they don't give you one thing and you try to go in and they got their freaking doors locked because they don't have any inside seating. So you're like, what do? Do you go back through the drive-through and say, hey, I didn't get this?
I mean, if I didn't pay for it, yeah. I mean, if I paid for it, yeah, I would.
But then you're waiting in the drive-through again.
Maybe not live in Plymouth. Problem solved.
Yeah, I'm about right there with you, to be honest. But yeah, the other part of that intro is soon to be a 3-time podcast host. And we've talked about this in past episodes that the Indiana Chiefs Fans podcast is going to be starting up in mid-July.
That's coming up.
And yeah, I think when this episode airs, it's going to be within a week, I think, is when it's going to start. So yeah, I'm excited. Like we've talked about before, Phil is just, a dictionary of Chiefs. My dad's been a Chiefs fan for a long time. I've been a Chiefs fan my whole life. So being able to talk about the Chiefs and just, I don't know, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be really good conversation. And we're doing it Call Guy style. So,
Oh, really? Nice.
Yep, doing it through the Zoom. So it should be interesting. Should be fun. I think it'll be a cool venture to go on, especially I've been thinking about it. I don't know that it's going to be a full year-round podcast. I know that it makes
fair.
sense to be a full year-round podcast.
I mean, honestly, what I would do with you guys, and I don't know why you're starting so early.
We've got a lot of stuff we want to talk about.
Okay, I guess
beforehand.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Off the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the only thing that I would do is obviously the season, as long as it goes. If you guys have a big trade or some big trades or sign some free agents, an episode there. Obviously, do draft day.
Yep.
And And outside of that, it's if any big news happens or
Yeah,
any
exactly.
big signings happen, you could do one, but
And
I wouldn't do it all year.
we're all going to be out there at some point, whether we're out there together or by ourselves, and just like talking about the trip out and how the game was, and an episode per week of each game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot to go on, and a lot to actually talk about, I think.
Well, yeah, when you win, that'll be fun to talk about.
Exactly. And the other part of this intro that I always forget to say is that alongside me, as always, is my good friend Juan Keel for 3, Colton Keel. How's it going,
You're
man?
good, man. You're good, man. I'm tired, dude. Wife's working, and so I had to be super dad all day, and
Super dad.
had band practice, and then trying to get caught up on stuff. And it's always hard when you got the kid sleeping. It's the best time to get stuff done, but it's also the best time to get sleep.
Yeah. You can
So-
also nap while he's napping.
Yeah, that's so I'm a little tired, but it's
Hey,
okay.
We'll just yawn our way through this episode, and it'll be all good.
to, brother.
It'll be all good. Yeah, I get this text from my sister last night, and she's like, "We should play Mario Party," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then we ended up going to Warsaw, and went to B-Dubs and sat down and just had dinner, and didn't get home till almost 10 o'clock, and I was just like, "Not tonight." And then she texted me again tonight saying, "Let's play Mario Party." So once we're done with this, I'm gonna be playing some Mario Party, which
Maybe she's trying to tell you something.
probably not. Probably not. That's good. I'm glad. Did you get a lot of stuff done today at least then, or was it kind of just a lull?
It's never done.
No, exactly.
It's never done, man. No, I
Well-
just trying to get the messes contained.
Yeah.
It's something
Contain
that
the
can never
mess.
be it's something that can never be conquered, but just
Yeah.
contained.
That's understandable.
So just
My-
trying to stay ahead of that as best as possible.
Yeah. My big thing today was, I looked out the back window and it's looking a little dark, and it hasn't rained in what, 3 weeks
I
probably.
mean, it seems like a month.
So I haven't mowed. I'm like, I mowed a couple weeks ago, and I haven't mowed since because I don't want my grass to be brown. So I'm like, I'm gonna let it stay like this. I look out and I'm like, it's gonna rain. I'm gonna mow. So I went out and mowed, and it rained. So I feel like I did it
Nice.
the right way. I see all these yards you're driving down the road, they're all just dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh yeah.
Also, how's everybody else doing out there in podcast land? Shoot us an email, thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything on any future podcast. Send us your recommendations, send us a question of the pod, any of that good stuff, because we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think and hear what you want us to talk about, because we're just coming up with stuff. And I mean, we've scheduled out to episode 30 on what we're going to be talking about. So if you send us something, we might just pull something and stick it in there for you.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, what we'll do is we'll bring you on the show so that way you can explain why you wanted to have that be why you wanted to talk about it. So
Yeah.
just beware, if you give us recommendations, there's a good chance we're going to say, "Hey, why don't you come on and talk about it?"
Yeah, exactly. And like I said before, like the way we're doing the Indiana Chiefs fans, the call guy style, and the way that we can do that is anybody can be a guest. As long as you have Zoom downloaded, we can get you in for a call. You can join in. You can be here for an hour. You can be here for 5 minutes. You can just, put in your 2 cents. Let us know how we're doing. All that good stuff. I mean, that's the nice thing about doing this with us being, an hour away from each other, is we're able to do it this way.
Yeah.
And it just works out really well. So
I'm telling you, I really want to do I would love to do some actual musical episodes like
Yeah.
this. I think
Yeah.
that would be really, really cool. I don't know how we could do it. We'd have to, the sound on it would be super, super hard, but if we could figure that out, I think that'd be cool.
yeah.
Or I think it'd be cool if we did like a live Q&A as an episode.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's good. I think so. You're right. I think, we get a, even if we had somebody like say, okay, so Conrad John comes in, and we want to play one of his songs or something, which
Yeah.
I'm not sure with copyright and all that stuff, how that's going to work, but like, I would love to be able to do something like that where
Oh
we
yeah,
play it
especially
and
give him some plugs, give him some
yeah,
times. I
that's what
mean,
it's all
that'd be
about.
great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But even
Oh
if we
yeah.
did have somebody that we know that is just a really good musician, like say the Whopper Man, and he wanted
Ooh.
to come on to the Call Guys pod, just
Uh,
saying, could be a
just
fun
saying,
idea.
Whopper
Whopper
Man.
Man.
I'll say this though, the Whopper Man actually just got he calls it a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't know what he's calling it, but for Father's Day, he went to a barbecue fest by himself in Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm. By himself.
Yeah, that was his Father's Day gift
Hmm.
to go and eat barbecue, and they have jazz, that music going on, and
Yeah.
I think the story goes that the guy who was playing the lead during a jazz set, I think it was a jazz set, knew Rudy and got him to go up on stage and
Nice.
play.
Nice.
And so he actually got up there during Rib Fest in front of all them folks and got to play. And he said it was a lifetime dream. So Whopper Man, that's
awesome.
I really hope I'm going to tell you to listen to this part. So man, love your brother and just keep on playing and we will have you on sometime. But yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny that we're bringing up music now because today's episode is about our top 3 bands. And that's something that, Colton and I listen to a lot of music, and as Colton said before we even started recording, he just likes music. And I think I have the same problem is I don't care what it is. If it sounds good, I like it. So
that's me. If it's got, I'm, you being a drummer, me being a bassist, I like the rhythm. Like if it flows and it goes, I don't even have to understand the words. I like it.
Yeah.
So.
Completely agree. But before we get into that, I do have a question of the podcast.
Oh,
which is just a random question. It has nothing to do with anything that's going on in this episode. The question of the podcast, Colton, is what is something that you have always wanted to do? Skydiving, go somewhere crazy, go deep sea fishing. Like, is there something that you just always wanted to do?
I would say Ireland was a big check mark off.
Like a bucket list item.
Yeah. One thing I would love to do is to swim with sharks because I really like sharks.
Nice.
But I don't think I could. I don't think I could be calm enough to be down there and see those beautiful creatures down there. I think I'd just be scared to death. And especially if I was did like the shark, like the cage.
Yeah.
And did it like that. I think I would be so paranoid, and
I was just about to ask that. Would you do the cage? I mean, I think I would definitely do the cage, but I don't think I could still swim.
I think I'd still have anxiety from that. Because at that point in time, man, as soon as it hit it, I'd be like, "Get me out!"
Yeah,
like even if it just rubbed up against it, I'd be like, "I'm out!" Like, let's go.
You want to do like great whites, like the big guys, or do you care?
Yeah, I would want to do those. I mean, we've gone to a bunch of aquariums, and I've got to hold and touch a lot of sharks, different kinds of sharks, and that's really cool. So I would definitely, I think swimming with them would be really, really cool, or just to see them naturally in their habitat.
Yeah,
under the water.
I mean, I think I've seen one shark in my whole life outside of a zoo, and that was when we were in PCB, and it was, you could just see the fin, swimming out in the ocean. I mean, I've seen dolphins and turtles and stingrays and stuff like that out in natural habitat, but that's it. I mean, I think that would be interesting. I think that would be kind of fun to do.
What about you, brother? What's yours?
Mine's completely different than that. So back in the day when I was a little bit more fit, I always wanted to do a triathlon.
Oh my Lord.
I always thought that would be fun. And, there's Sarah's family's her sisters for the most part are very athletic. So they're doing marathons and half marathons and 5Ks and triathlons, and it's always something that I've wanted to do. And I think that they could actually get me to do it if they were like, hey, you want to do this triathlon? I don't think I could make it through it, to be honest. But um, and I think, are there different kinds of triathlons, like different
Yeah, there's
sports in 'em?
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's different ones.
So I'd like to do one that was running, biking, swimming.
Well, okay, now I believe all triathlons are like that, but I think the distances are what change on them.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought that would be fun to do. I mean, it's kind of, I definitely not athletic enough anymore, I think, to do it. I could still run a 5K, but I don't know that I could, maybe even a half marathon if I really, really push to do it. But I think that's about as far as I could go.
We have a couple customers and I know a couple people. Nick might actually be a good person to talk to about this next week.
Yeah.
My thing about it
Or the week
is-
prior to this week.
Oh yeah. The swimming part scares me. I would want to be the last person to do the swimming part because I wouldn't want to get kicked. I wouldn't want to kick somebody. I would just have everyone go in front of me and just say, "Hey, everyone, you go. I'll go in last. No big deal."
I mean,
And
if the
then I would
swimming
do
part,
it.
if the swimming part was the last part, you'd probably be okay, right? I mean, you're going to be in between people.
Oh
at that
yeah.
Point, so you
if
just
it
start and
wasn't the
go.
beginning, the beginning part, that's because everyone's there. And
I think the furthest I've ever swam was like to the sandbar at Hoffman Lake from the pier that we always swim at, like the little beach area we always swim at. There's a sandbar pretty far out, not too far. I've watched people actually swim across the lake completely, but like I've never went that far. And I also don't have, I have
Nice.
like this, I wouldn't say it's a fear, but deep water is kind of scary.
well,
I mean, especially swimming out in it.
I mean, we still don't know what's down there.
Yeah, and I mean a lake isn't nearly as bad, but I've seen the gar that come out of there, and those are some big fish.
Yeah, they got some gnarly stuff in there.
Yeah. So yeah, triathlon. Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be kind of fun.
I think so.
Maybe one day. Maybe I'll start going back to the gym again, get myself fit.
Man, I can't. I know I need to. I know I should, but I just can't. I can't do it.
I miss it. Jared really got me into it for like, I don't know, 6 years, and I was lifting all the time and doing all the supplements and running, and especially when I was in college when it was right there. And now it's like I have to come home, change, or take a bag with me and go right after work, or it's just it's
seems
something you need
harder
to
to
force
do.
you need to force yourself to do it,
Yeah, man. I was always on like creatine, anything to build body mass and muscle mass.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of that stuff from playing basketball and
I was one of those that I'd take my pre-workout and then I'd have an intra workout and a post workout with some creatine, and then I'd eat eggs and all this stuff like right
so
after.
really about them gains.
Yeah, I was, and Jared really taught me a lot about it, and I miss those days. I need to do it. I'm just gonna do it.
Just do
All
it.
right,
Stop being
everybody.
a-
Hold me accountable. If you don't see these gains, if you watch on YouTube and you don't see me getting completely swole in the next 6 months, call me out. Call me out. I'm just kidding. But I do need to
That's
start going
funny.
back. So yeah, question of the pod. There you go.
Question of the pod, I think is a good one.
Yeah, not bad. Kind of random, but you know what? It's all good.
That's what we do. That's what we do, brother.
Let's get back to some music. So a few, I don't know, what was that? 10 episodes ago? Probably 10 episodes ago, we did
Gosh.
the All About Music episode where Colton and I talked about our lives and how music's affected us and just a lot of stuff. And then in Jared's episode, we did hit on music just a little bit. But today we're going to be talking about our top 3 bands of all time. So in our call guy fashion, we're going to go 3, 2, honorable mentions, 1. And we're just going to go through and talk about these bands that we love so much. And if you can guess Colton's already, yes, you are definitely a Call Guys listener.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, because I don't stray too far outside of my favorites.
But he does listen to a lot of music. He just doesn't call them his favorites.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, Gunner's like, dude, you gotta come up with 3 favorite bands. I was like, well, I got 2
Yeah.
that are like easy. After that, it's just like, I don't know. What am I wanting to listen to? Who am I like, what am I wanting to do? So
well,
I don't know.
my top 3 are kind of in the same genre of music, but my honorable mentions are all over the place. So
Okay.
I definitely have a set genre of music that I listen to. And I have my liked playlist on Spotify is just a conglomeration of everything you can think of. So, you want to start? Or you want me to start?
I could start.
Do it.
I could start. So my number 3 is All Time Low.
Love it.
Their first album came out in 2005. And it's actually kind of cool that they've always been together since the beginning.
Same
been,
guys.
It's been the same guys. 2 guys came in early, like super early, like before their first like studio album came out. Yeah. But after that, it's been the same dude since 2005, which is super cool.
Don't see that very often anymore.
No, you don't. So yeah, man, it was that genre of music, that pop punk type of, long hair, don't care.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
I know you have. I think the So Wrong It's Right album was my first favorite one. That had Remembering Sunday. I think that was the Dear Maria album too.
I think you're right. Dear Maria is like their biggest hit of all time.
Yeah, Dear Maria. That was the Dear Maria album. Poppin' You got me popping champagne all over the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you've seen them. You've seen them, right?
Yeah, I actually have. I've seen them once at Pierre's.
Okay.
And that was really cool. I thought it would be a little bit more packed. I mean, it was packed, but I thought it would be like people on top of each other type of people.
Was that Pierre's before they remodeled or Pierre's?
I mean, it was 4 years ago.
So after they remodeled, probably.
Yeah.
So it was the big stage and a lot of moving room and yeah.
So yeah, that was one of my first favorite albums of theirs. The Nothing Personal album was, that was 2009. That was my senior year in high school. And that was the album that we actually got stuck in my buddy's Trailblazer.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't get it out. So
did it play through all of it at least?
Instead of just one song? It played. Yeah, the album played, but you couldn't eject it.
Yeah. That sucks.
After that, I didn't really listen to All Time Low. I kind of took a break from them. They did about 3 albums, and I was just like, I don't like the sound. Just didn't sound like it was different, and I didn't really like that. But then they came out with the Last Young Renegade album in 2017, and man, that brought me back old Time Low feels, and I really enjoyed that. Dirty Laundry, Drugs and Candy. Man, there's one I can actually, believe it or not, play on guitar.
Nice. Wow. Guitar, not bass.
Yeah, Good Times. It's Good Times.
Nice.
Really like that album. That's just a fun album. And then Wake Up Sunshine came out 2 years ago. Really good. I really liked the flow of that album. It actually reminded me of an album that like told a story through each song, and it like just kind of went through. So I think that's probably what drew me to that album.
That's what I love.
Yeah,
I love that.
I do too. I wish more bands would do that.
Yeah.
I honestly right now I think the best one who's doing that is Machine Gun Kelly in his last 2 albums. I felt like he's done a pretty good job of explaining story and storytelling through his songs.
Yeah.
So
we talked about that before. I think
I mentioned it 1 or 2 episodes ago, and I just Man, and I know I'm a Travis Barker fan, and obviously Blink will be on this on this lineup.
I wonder which one it'll be.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the all-time low just it was a band that I really liked to listen to before basketball games.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why, but I did. But I listened to a lot of weird music before basketball games, but definitely all three of these my favorite bands were in my basketball pregame warm-up music.
Nice.
So yeah, all-time low is my third. What's your third, brother?
So actually, I want to stop before I do that. I can't imagine trying to sell that Trailblazer. Just be like, in the description, like sell it on Marketplace or something. In the description, must love all time low. Or get a new radio. Must install a new radio, I guess.
Yeah, I think they scrapped that. I think they traded it in.
Okay. Oh, that's just funny. That was the first thing I thought of when you said that, and I was like, "Wow! Imagine buying that and you're trying to get the CD changer to work, and it's just all time low."
Yep,
on
I'll be
repeat.
honest. I mean, I remember like you couldn't get that album out. They had like 6 CDs in there,
Hmm.
and there's some good albums in there.
That's all that matters. All right,
So-
so my number 3 is a band called Ice Nine Kills.
Ooh,
They formed in 2000. They're from Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston.
And they are known now. They used to be that punk, metal punk, I guess you'd call them. Now they're
Yeah.
actually known as horror punk
What?
because of their last 2 albums that they put out.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So the 2 albums that they put out in the last 3 years are called The Silver Scream and The Silver Scream Welcome to Horrorwood. So what these albums are a culmination of songs about horror films.
Really?
The lead singer, Spencer Charnas, he is a huge horror movie fanatic, like just loves horror films. So he made these songs to correspond with certain films. And
Okay.
so I have the first one on vinyl, the actual live version of it, and it is such a great album. It's called Silver Scream Part 1. They actually have a series of videos on YouTube that tell a overarching story, and each
Ooh.
song is about a horror film. So like there's one about it,
Okay.
and the last video they put out for the Silver Scream Part 1 was based on it, and Spencer Charnas was it, and he was going around, and there was a therapist that was giving him medication stuff, and he was going like back to him to get prescribed to be a psycho pretty much, and go around and kill his bandmates and people, and he played it off as having nightmares. Well, the first video is actually called The American Nightmare, and he is Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nice.
So some of the songs that are on there, you have the American Nightmare, which is Nightmare on Elm Street, Thank God It's Friday, Friday the 13th, A Grave Mistake, which is The Crow, and then my favorite on the album, besides It Is the End, which is about it, is Rocking the Boat, which is about Jaws. And they have this like really cool radio in from the boat to the Coast Guard, and it's just like this really cool, they put the effects on it to sound like a radio, but a really, really good album. The first one is. The second one's pretty good. I don't like it as much as the first one. But they have stuff. They have a song called "The Shower Scene" about Psycho, "Funeral Dearrangements," which is Pet Cemetery, "Rainy Day," which is about Resident Evil, and then "Hip to Be Scared," which is a play on "Hip to Be Square," is about American Psycho. And there's actually this little snippet in there where they play part of "Hip to Be Square," and
It's hit to be square.
yeah, it's a really cool album. I've actually seen them twice. I saw them at Pierre's actually, and
Oh,
then
nice.
I've seen them at Rockfest. That was one I know Jared and I talked about that in our episode where we each bought a ticket for the pit, and that was mine. I wanted to see Ice Nine Kills in the pit, And that was the one where I got that really cool picture of Spencer letting the balloon go.
Oh yeah, I remember
after-
you talking about that.
after It Is the End. So yeah, the video series is really cool. If you get a chance, maybe I'll try to post a playlist link in the podcast notes so you can go watch those. They do have a bunch of other albums too. 2000, they started up in 2000, and their first real release other than EPs was like 2007, I think. And I mean, everything else was EPs, so they were putting out like 3-song EPs, 4-song EPs. And yeah, they have other albums. Safe is Just a Shadow, Last Chance to Make Amends, and then The Predator Becomes the Prey, which that in that time they were just that punk metal band, so kind of that scene style music. So yeah,
Okay.
Ice Nine Kills, I love them. I could listen to them every day, whether it's part of some of their older stuff or if it's the new Silver Scream stuff. I would love to see Spencer put out a Silver Scream every Halloween, because that's when they put out the album.
Oh,
in
nice.
October. So yes, Ice Nine Kills.
Good one.
Yeah,
I like it.
You should listen to it. I don't know if you'd like it's metal.
Man, I've heard a couple of their stuff, probably from their earlier days.
Yeah.
And then I'm not the biggest metal fan. But I have heard of them.
Yeah. I really enjoy them, like I said.
That's good.
So
my number 2.
Does it make you cry?
Sometimes makes me cry when I think about my number 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Not all the time. Just sometimes.
Yeah.
But my number 2 is Rush. And I don't like to rush my number 2s, okay, either.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Jeremy, I don't want to hear, or the Emperor, I don't want to hear any jokes about it.
Yeah.
I
like to
see, exactly. You're thinking it. You
Yep.
could just go so many different ways with that. So, Emperor, we beat you to the punch. Don't want to hear about
I
it.
guess when Colton does his number 2s, he's the guy that sits there for a while and just relaxes,
Yes.
plays a game on his phone. He doesn't rush it.
Okay,
That's
we're
terrible.
done.
Yeah, sorry.
We're done. But yeah, no, Rush is obviously my second favorite band. Probably, I would say it's more of like a 1A, a 1.1, and the other ones are like a 1.8. Like it's the same. Like they're both ones to me.
Yeah.
But for the sake of making a list, I'll put Rush at 2.
Okay.
My dad introduced me to Rush probably when I was in junior high, and it was the Moving Pictures album. Actually,
Nice.
I think we were going back from India or something, and he wanted me just to listen to it, and that's the first time I heard Tom Sawyer. And I can't stand that song now because it's the most overplayed Rush song that they use.
Yeah.
And every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, come on, pick another Rush, pick another song. There's so many good ones. Pick another one.
Yeah.
But that also has a Limelight. I really like the song Limelight. Living in the limelight, the universal breed.
I always loved his voice, just that unique.
I love Getty's voice.
Throaty sound, I guess.
Nasally, it's all
too.
No, man, it's right here.
Yeah.
Have you seen Getty?
The beak. He's got a beak.
He's got a schnoz.
Yeah.
The brother has a schnoz.
Arguably,
easily one of the greatest 3-man bands ever. Al Cleefson, Geddy Lee, and God rest his soul, Neil Peart.
Yeah.
My favorite drummer, one of my top favorite drummers. That's another weird thing about my 2 favorite bands are the drummers are, in my opinion, some elite drummers.
Yeah.
And
Travis Barker.
Travis and Neil. Both completely different sounds, but both absolutely know how to paint a song with the rhythm of their instrument.
Yeah.
Man, the Fly By Night album, really good album. And this is mid 70s. I'll be honest. Once they went techno, I I can't listen to that crap. I don't like it. Um,
Right on.
hence the mid '80s forward, pretty much.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I mean, from '74 to '82, all those albums are awesome. I love every one of those albums. 2112, I think might be that album cover might be one of the most signature Rush. What's the word? What are the words I want to use? It's the star, that star in that print of the Rush and the 2112. I feel like is what's mostly used on TV shows and movies to show Rush in. I think it's in I think it's on the Fanboys fan, actually.
Mhm.
that kind of moniker.
Yeah.
And it's got the world's best 21-minute song ever. I know that. I can only imagine writing that song.
Oh yeah. I
How
don't
many
even
times they had to
know.
like stop? Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, does that work? Like,
Well, that's the nice thing about music. Most of the time is just copy paste, and like you can play something and then it's just boom over and over and over and over and over again. So really, any song could be 21 minutes if you try hard enough.
I guess that's true. But at least
anymore.
But I mean, Rush, I felt like they always told stories, especially in that song. That song is you can make a movie off of that song, I feel like.
Yeah, short film.
I'm thinking a trilogy. Come on, don't be disrespectful.
Don't be disrespectful.
Don't be. I really like Hemispheres. The Trees was the first song that my dad actually kind of said, hey, this is a very political song back in the day, and you have to listen to it, and you really got to understand what they're talking about. And I was like, huh, okay, I get it.
Nice.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I just love listening to them. That's the thing. YYZ, they just rock out.
I mean, I haven't listened to a ton of Rush in my life, but the hits are definitely something that if I hear it, I'm like, oh, there's some Rush. And
So
I'm not gonna not listen to them, obviously, but
so my dad, he had a couple albums, but the one we probably listened to most was they had a greatest hits album.
Mhm.
That was all. It was all remastered and studio done. I mean, it sounded just sounded good. And the Spirit of the Radio was on there, and that was on my pregame basketball list. And it took 42 seconds for it to say its first word in the song, and my basketball number was 42, so I always kept that on my playlist for that
Nice.
reason.
Nice. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know. Just, all this machinery making modern music can still be open-hearted.
Nice.
I just Red Barchetta. I always told my dad if I hit the lottery, I'd buy him a Red Barchetta.
Nice.
That's a good song. That's a tragedy. That's a song. That's a tragedy. Just so many sentimental values to Rush, and me and my dad and my uncle. That man is a walking encyclopedia of music.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why my number 2 makes me cry is, I think I've mentioned this earlier in another episode, but I had we never again got the opportunity to go see Rush live.
Yeah.
Because of Neil. And that is a big regret that I have. I wish we would have just
Bit the bullet and went.
Yep. I wish we just would have not been so dang cheap and went and saw him play.
Yeah.
Because I just wish I'd go back. If I knew what I knew now, obviously I'd go back in time and I'd go see Rush, and I would spend extra to go sit lower.
Time travel.
I figure it out for me, Gunner.
Oh, we'll get you there. You need to. Everybody start screaming. Got to get the DeLorean all ready to go.
All right, man. What about?
That's good. I knew your top 2 before you even started, or I kind of knew all 3 years, I guess. But yeah, I grew up with 80s music, and well, I mean, they were more so 70s and 80s music, but like I grew up with
Yeah.
that genre of music, so I know a lot of it, but I just don't really listen to it anymore. I don't go out of my way a whole lot to listen to it. Maybe like Huey Lewis and some of the older female bands that were just like super good back in the day, because a lot of that stuff was just good music.
Yeah.
And so yeah, my number 2 does
it?
not make me
Does
cry.
it? It doesn't? Okay, good.
No, but I mean, Jared Leto could make me cry
Oh.
if he did. I don't know, if something happened to him, I would cry. I love Jared Leto. I don't want anything to ever happen to Jared Leto. Luckily, I've seen 30 Seconds to Mars, and I have seen 30 Seconds to Mars with my brother and my dad, which was a
Ooh.
super fun weekend trip that we took out to Cleveland, Blossom Music Center, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, went to Wahlburgers. Like, it was just a super fun trip. Besides the fact that I had to sleep in the bathtub because my brother and my dad snore so loud, and I
Oh.
just could not sleep. And
That
even
sucks.
like snoring is like a traumatic experience for me. Like,
Really?
if you snore and I'm having to sleep in the same room as you, I got to get out of there, because like my brother
Have we slept
snored.
in the same room? Because I don't know
I
if
don't think so. I don't think so.
My wife says I snore, but I don't really recall being labeled as a snorer.
I might snore occasionally, but not as bad as my brother and my dad both do. And I was in the same hotel room as both of them. So yeah, it was not a good time. That's a whole different. That's
That's a whole
yeah.
nother.
you're-
That's a whole
I-
different. That's a whole nother
I'm having
episode.
I'm having a panic attack right now.
Heart
because of it.
palpitations.
Yeah. So 30 Seconds to Mars is my number 2.
Okay.
Like I said, I saw them in Cleveland with my dad and my brother. They formed back in '98, and it's crazy to think about that because Jared Leto was so young when they formed, and they didn't release their first album until quite a bit later. They did like EPs and stuff, obviously. But it's just him and his brother Shannon. Like, they're the two band members. They had people come in and play with them, but even when we saw them, Shannon's the drummer, and then a lot of the stuff is all electronic anymore. So it's really interesting to see them as a duo play, because it's just Jared and Shannon on stage. That's it. Um, their first album was, I'm pretty sure their first album was their self-titled album, just 30 Seconds to Mars.
Hmm.
And then they had A Beautiful Lie, which is one of my favorite albums because it has some killer songs on it. Was It a Dream is such a good mellow song to listen to. The Kill is actually in The Invisible. During one of the scenes, it actually plays in the background, which is probably a big reason why this movie's in my top 10, to be honest. It's got a really good
Ooh.
story, but I think there's the 30 Seconds to Mars thing really helps kick that off. But there was also From Yesterday on that album, which is a amazing song. Jared and I actually did a video for it when we were in high school. And then their Beautiful Lie, which is probably one of their most well-known songs. And then on top of that whole album, they actually did a series of videos telling a story about the songs, which was really cool. So it was pretty much watching a movie about the album at the time. Then they came out with This Is War, which had Kings and Queens, which most people know because of the eagle at the start, the big bird call right off the start of Kings and Queens. And I know that's why Lucas loves that song for some reason. Like, it's in like his list of songs, and he'll like play it for driving somewhere. He'll play it, and all you hear is the bird call right at the start. And you're like, Kings and Queens again. And then Search and Destroy, and then they had This Is War, which has a phenomenal music video to it. So if you get a chance, and in this album, I want to say it was a This Is War album. They actually had, like, they took like some bleachers and put them into a like soundproof room, and then brought in a crowd of people and had them do a lot of the sound effects for the album.
Oh, nice.
So like they're like making like the roller coaster sounds, and like the big buildups and stuff. Is they're actual people doing the sounds. So it's really, really fun to listen to that, just knowing how they actually made those songs. And then they have Love, Lust, Faith, and Dreams, which is a really good album. And then America, which is their newest album, which has one of my favorite songs that they've ever made, which is Walk on Water. And it's got that, it's kind of on the verge of being that like all electronic, watching them play when this album came out, when we went and saw them, this album was newer, and seeing that song live and seeing the light show that went with it, and like they're just a phenomenal band to see. And knowing most people know Jared Leto now. I don't know that most people know that Jared Leto is in a band either, and they've been around forever. But he was in a band before he was in movies, and he is a pretty good actor in some cases.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
How was he in Suicide Squad? You like that movie?
We don't need to go there. So yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars has I have a soft spot in my heart for them. One of my dad's favorite bands. I'm sure if we asked him his top 3 or top 5, 30 Seconds to Mars would probably be in there. But yeah, music.
Music.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
so
music.
I have a list of honorable mentions. I mean, a big list of honorable mentions. And that's because growing up, I listened to a lot of local music on top of listening to a lot of national acts. So I also have a soft spot in my heart for local musicians, small bands, like people that don't have a contract, people that don't have that, push behind them to have their music sent out to the world. So, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Man, I'll go first because I can't. I mean, honorable mentions. It's for me. It's hard to come up with because I just like music.
Yeah.
A Day to Remember, Yellow Card, Real Big Fish, Rend Collective. I mean, AC/DC. I mean, you just go through. I just like music.
You just list them. You can just list and go. Yeah.
And that was all a whole bunch of different genres. I love Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin music, like that big band music. I love listening to that.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard for me to have a definitive like favorite bands because I just
love music.
I just really, really enjoy music.
Well, so I guess
I think that's why now that I'm out of the way, it sounds like you've got just.
I was thinking, I guess when I think honorable mentions, I think like bands that if I want to hear something or if I want to listen to them, I will go and actually pick them out and say, I want to listen to, I'll go my first, I Prevail. I've seen them 3 times. Like if I want to listen to I Prevail, I go pull them out and I listen to them. Like I love I Prevail, but they've been on the up and down so much. Like I've seen them 3 times. The first time I saw them just blew my mind. You've seen them. You saw them when they were with A Day to Remember. They were phenomenal at that show. But when I saw them at Rockfest down in the pit, I could have cared less. It was like, and
really?
It was like at a time where they were coming out with their new album, so they were playing all the new stuff, and I was like,
oh, play the hits.
Play the stuff I want to hear. And like
that's right. Play what I want to hear, not what you want to play, artist.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is when you're listening to a band and you have like that one song that you love that like isn't a big hit and they don't play it and you're just so disappointed when you leave. You're like,
yep,
man, I really wish they would have played that. But
I actually thought I was gonna have that with All Time Low.
Yeah.
Because they didn't play Dear Maria.
Really? And that was like their hit.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, okay, this is almost a pointless night. So they leave and they come back and they got that.
Oh,
and they come back with that intro on it. And it just lights came on and they're just jamming and everybody's like bouncing off the walls in there. It was great.
So let me list a couple here. I got Death Cab for Cutie.
Oh, nice.
I love Death Cab.
You're like the only person I know.
The lyrics in their songs are so unique. And actually, Transatlanticism is my favorite album by them. But my buddy at work actually has the bird tattooed on his leg from that album cover. And wrapped in the vines. I love Death Cab. They're mellow. They're laid back. It's just a good sound. And like I said, the lyrics are just they're so unique. He just has a really great way with words, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I do have a day to remember on here.
Nice.
Highly suspect. The Foo Fighters, which is a close contender for number 3. Miley, obviously. You can't go wrong with some Miley Cyrus.
Love me
and
some
then
Miley.
a couple of smaller bands. In college, I was introduced to a band called Rome Hero Foxes. And I managed to see them because they were doing a small tour and they stopped in Muncie. And one of my buddies had introduced me to them and he's like, hey, they're actually going to be here. I was like, let's go see them. Phenomenal band. I'll have to send you some of their music because for being a smaller band and they're from like a Western state. I can't remember exactly where they're from, but
Idaho.
it could be for all I know. But they're just really good. And then I do have one more that I want to mention. We've already talked about him in this episode once, but it is Conrad John. And let me just tell you, for being a small town Indiana boy, he is a great rapper. Like I didn't know he was a rapper. I had classes with him at Ball State. I met him multiple times. We did projects together. Like I sat and talked to him. I never knew he was a rapper. We recorded bands together at Ball State because we were in an audio class together. And I never knew he was a rapper. He never really talked about it. We talked about football because he's an Eagles fan. He was a huge Eagles fan. And, I went out to Philly one year and, it was a big thing. I was going to Philly and I had to tell Conrad John, whatever. So it was like, so we went to BSU together. He moves out to California, furthers his rapping career. And some of his music is just great. Once again, he's got some really unique lyrics that just really come off a page. It seems like if you were to hear it, and he's being an Indiana boy, he does a lot of throwbacks to Indiana and just, I don't know. So yes, he will actually be on the Call Guys podcast here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing an interview with Sir Conrad John.
Let's go.
His name is Connor Johnson. Super, super cool dude. Very laid back, very into the culture of California. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to actually sit down and catch up with him. And I've been kind of messaging him back and forth about coming on.
Nice.
He's excited. He's excited to make some content. To be honest, I don't know how many interviews and stuff he does out there, but he's always out there playing shows or rapping shows. I don't know if you can play rap.
I think you perform.
Performing. Yes.
I think it's performing.
Performs. So yeah, there's my honorable mentions list.
Solid.
And a little bit of pluggage.
Oh.
So, number 1, Colton. Let's hear it.
We already know it, brother.
Oh, I already know it.
Blink.
180 Tote.
182.
Yep.
This band brings back so many memories. I think that's why I like it so much. It almost transports me back in time when things were better and easier and not as sad, so to speak. But just everything, I love everything about them. Yeah. Another great 3-man band.
Yeah.
Started with Tom, Mark, and Matt, or not Matt, Scott. Scott Rayner was the original drummer, and he kind of partied himself out of that role, and Travis stepped in from the Aquabats, and he took over, and it was the best move Blink probably ever made. Was to get rid of.
I just want you to know.
What's that?
That when I play drums, I use Travis Barker's signature sticks. Like I have the sticks that he actually has for sale. I use those. They're all white, Travis Barker and rainbow lettering on there. They're good sticks. Although they get your cymbals and your drum heads really dirty because you just all that white paint all over. So if you look at my cymbals, it's just like white dots everywhere. So like polka dotted. So Travis, nice. I just want you to know, if you're going to do the white paint on your drumsticks, you need to stop it up towards the top because I got to clean my cymbals all the time. I don't want to be doing that. Come on, man.
Travis, I know you're going to be listening to this, so just
Avid
if you
Call
could,
Guys listener.
help us out. Help us out, brother.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, my gamer tag on Xbox is the cat from the Cheshire Cat album.
Oh, really?
Nobody knows that. I ask all the time. I say, "Hey, does that look familiar?" And no, I don't. Is that your cat from the house or what? But yeah, no, it's the Cheshire Cat from that
Nice.
album.
Nice.
You got Dude Ranch. You got Enema of the State was the first Travis Barker album. And then from there, they really blew up after Enema of the State.
Yeah.
You know, no puns intended with Enema, but the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket album was just a great name for an album.
Yeah.
Because of everything about it. The Untitled album is still one of my favorite albums today. And everything they touch, to me, they turn to gold, in my opinion. But I'm also super, super biased on them. And then Travis Barker, I mean, they broke up. Matt, well, it started when Tom and Travis went and did Boxcar Racer, and that got Mark all jealous, so he went and did Plus 44 or something like that, or some 44. I can't remember. I think it's Plus 44. So he went and did that, and they came back together. And then Tom wanted to do his own thing with Angels and Airwaves. That kind of left.
When was the plane crash?
So the plane crash was in 08, I think. 08, 07-ish.
I remember that pretty vividly because I was a big Travis Barker fan.
Yeah.
And it just was like, oh no. And then
I think it was 08 because 11 is when Neighborhoods came out, and that's kind of like when they first came back and like reconciled everything, and like that's what really brought the three main guys back together. And they came out and dropped Neighborhoods, and it got a lot of hate off of it because it wasn't their old like raunchy, jokes, and like I thought it was a great mature album that they made. I loved it because I think it brought in Blink with the sounds of Angels and Airwaves.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that really sat well with Mark mostly, in my opinion. And the California album came out and it was getting ready to go worldwide and blow up, and Tom says, "Hey, going after aliens." Okay, cool. And Matt Skiba jumped in from Alkaline Trio, which, funny thing, I got serious in the truck and I was listening to it one day, and I had my kid with me, and there's this station called Kids Place Live. It plays, kid-friendly music, and it's upbeat, and it's pretty good. Well, Alkaline Trio, it's got a song on that.
Really?
Yeah, they did a song for a kid show or something like that.
Nice.
I was like, hey, that's Matt's band. I wonder if he was in it, but I don't know the time frame of that. So, but I mean, I think Skiba, he's done a really good job with Nine in California. California, he just kind of was a background guy, but I felt like Nine, he really showed what he can bring creatively to the table for Blink. And I think he fits in well. I have seen Blink a lot. I have seen Blink in person. They put on a great show. Travis is amazing live.
Yeah.
Just, man, I would love to see with Tom and Matt, or Tom and Mark and Travis. I would love to see them all get back together. And I don't think that's ever going to happen if you read Travis Barker's book. If you were to ever finish that book, Gunnar.
Oh yeah, I just need to order it and finish it, to be honest with you.
You do, or just get the book from your mom.
I do want you to know this. So I have a picture on Instagram from my sophomore year of college. Somebody had told me I look like Mark Hoppus. So I have a picture.
Oh yeah, I can see it with the hair. I think I've seen it.
Yeah, of me and Mark Hoppus, and I have sunglasses on. He's kind of turned his head, so I turned my head the other way, so it faces away from each other. But yeah, I mean, I never really thought about it, but when I have fully shaven, obviously.
Yeah,
And then sunglasses and the spiked
it's
up
the
hair.
spiked hair.
Yeah, we kind of do it all the same way. So that's how it was funny. But
So yeah, that's my number one band, man. I just love them. I love the sound they put. I mean, Simple Creatures was Alex from All Time Low and Mark
Yeah.
side project. That was they had some really great EPs from there.
EPAs.
Obviously Travis, yeah, EPAs.
EP.
Oh gosh, some EPs there.
Let's see if
Working
I
on getting that license. Say
Yeah.
what?
I'm gonna find that picture here real quick and put it up to the
Okay.
camera.
And then and Travis is doing a lot of stuff in the hip hop world. I mean, anytime somebody needs a beat, it's almost like they call him for it. I see it.
Yeah. Pretty close. Oh, that's skinny face me too. Look at that.
And then, like I said, Travis, he's really dumping himself into Machine Gun Kelly right now, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think he's doing so well is because he has that MGK has that kind of that punk pop sound to it now because of Travis, and I think
fast paced.
Yeah, the pace of it, and MGK sounds the part, looks the part, and his lyrics are on brand for Travis's style. So, I mean, and then I'm a fan of Angels and Airways. I enjoy listening to that music because it's so different. Tom does so many pedals and synths and sounds that he does to make his guitar get the way he wants it to sound and everything like that. It's a musical journey whenever he comes out after some time on some things. So I mean, anything any of those three touch, I'm in on.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Well, I'm gonna let you know right now that everybody that listens to the Call Guys and listens to all the episodes knew that your number one was going to be Blink-182.
I know.
And that's okay. That's okay. Doesn't have to be something different. We love talking about what we love to talk about. So now my number one, Colton, was I thought it was gonna be difficult for me to choose.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? This band is the band that I can just play on repeat. I love all of their music. I don't think there's a single song that I don't like. I can just listen to them and enjoy them. They have a really awesome acoustic set on YouTube that you can watch that is phenomenal. And it's Nothing More. And I don't know if you ever listened to them, but man, they don't really have that unique sound, but they have just some amazing things that they do while performing or in their songs or just the way that they are as people. And even watching them in interviews or whatever, they just seem like they're super down to earth guys that play really awesome metal music. And they're just, I don't know, they're just really good. I have seen them. I saw them at Ruoff with Jared and his brother forever ago. I don't even remember. It was one of those things. I think Jared and I talked about this. We were out in the car, having a couple beers, and we started walking in, and we're listening, and we're like, "Is that Nothing More?" They weren't even slated. They didn't even have them on the list. So we start running. We're like, "Oh, we got to get in and see this." We only missed like maybe a song or two, and I'll tell you what, some of the stuff that they do up on stage, and their stage presence and their demeanor and the way that they move around and just get it. They just get it. Like it's insane to watch. Their lead singer is Johnny Hawkins, and let me tell you, Johnny Hawkins has this thing where he taps his Adam's apple when he's singing to get like that vibrato, I guess. I don't even know what to call it. But yeah, when he's singing, he actually will tap and it'll echo, it'll do that, like where it's like sounds like you're like being shaken. And he does that in his songs, like in his music videos or whatever. And even when we saw him live, he's just always tapping his Adam's apple and getting that sound. And I was watching actually one of those YouTube channels where they talk about like how people like different bands and their sounds. and this was on them, and the guy was like freaked out by him doing that. He was like, why is he tapping his Adam's apple? And he's like, that's actually a really cool way to do that. Like, most people just do it.
Yeah.
He does it by, I don't know, pretty cool. Like I said, I love their acoustic show on YouTube. So if you get a chance, go check that out. They have like 5 albums, I think. The Feud Not Fleeting, their self-titled album, The Stories That We Tell Ourselves, which would probably be my favorite album of theirs, has a ton of good songs. Has Jenny and Don't Stop and Fade In, Fade Out, Go to War, Just Say When, which is a really cool mellow song about, it's a love story song. And it's that old saying, just say when, you're pouring a glass of something, you say, and they tell you just say when, like to stop.
Yeah.
And it has a really cool message to it. And then they also have a new album coming out this October called Spirits, and they've actually released 2 of those songs, which are just heavy.
Ooh.
And it's been a while since they've done a heavy songs, and they're just good. I have nothing bad to say about Nothing More. I really do love them, and I can, like I said, listen to them on repeat, pull them up on Spotify, and just shuffle play. And there's not a song I don't like. They have a song.
Nice.
They have a song called Salem. It's Salem parentheses Burn the Witch. It's not like a crazy heavy song, but like it could have been in Game of Thrones, or it could have been in Lord of the Rings. It could have been in like those really hardcore movies that are like all about war and all about like in that time period. I'll have to send you that one because it's a good song. But so yeah, Nothing More. I want to see him again. I wanted to go to Rockfest this year, but we're not going to be able to make it probably, and they're going to be there on the small stage, so I would have been able to be like right here,
Close with them.
Yeah. So yeah, not a bad list, Colton.
Yeah, man, I like it.
Super predictable. I'm just kidding. That's not a bad thing. I mean, I love Blink. Obviously not as much as you. I love Travis Barker. Being a drummer, I have a lot of influences that have made me who I want to be. Peter Criss from Kiss was one of those that really got me into drumming as a kid. And then it was Travis Barker and Mike Portnoy and I can't think of his name, but the drummer from Def Leppard, when we were in IT class, not IT. Wait, is that right? Pretty much shop class in high school or like middle school. Where do you remember when they showed us the video from Def Leppard? How his snare was on a kick pedal because he has one arm.
No, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? No, that was one of those things that really stuck with me as a drummer, seeing that and going, that's just an amazing thing to accommodate his missing arm. And he uses his feet and he moves his feet so much. But yeah, a lot of influences as a drummer, and Neil Peart even, and Travis Barker. So 2 of your favorite bands have some of my favorite drummers, and it's just crazy. But yeah, good list.
Yeah, I like him. I think
I like it. I like it a
lot.
lot.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. So upcoming stuff from us. We will have the Murdnerds. We will have Conrad John. Maybe one of these days we might do a 2-sock crossover.
Whoa!
So I think it's got to happen. If we're going to cross over the Murdnerds, we got to cross over 2-sock.
Well, the real question is are we going to do a Tejas crossover and a Boozer crossover?
I don't know. It's a good question.
That's a great question. I think we would give Tejas a shot first.
Yeah.
And if that went well, which I'm worried about their abilities, we would do a Boozer's crossover. Yeah. No, I think Team Tejas is a great job. I cannot praise them enough for how well they do.
Yeah.
I enjoy listening to them, and even though I do not like the stuff they're talking about at all.
Yeah.
I listen to it because I like the way they talk about it. I enjoy it.
Yeah. What was the did you listen to Camp Murdnerds?
Yeah.
Did you like
Yeah,
it?
I liked it actually.
Isn't that awesome?
It sounded great.
Yeah.
You could definitely hear in the background
The
the
crickets and the
crickets
birds,
and
the
all
golf
the
carts.
nature, all the nature stuff that was out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Crazy cool episode. The first one, obviously, when this comes out, they might be done with it by then, but the first one was a crazy story.
oh yeah, I couldn't imagine. Can't imagine
No.
that.
No. So if you get a chance, let me just do
Let's
do the plug.
Let's just do the plugs.
Yes, everybody, thank you for listening to the Call Guys
Yes,
podcast.
thank you.
You can get us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Podbean, Stitcher. If you want to hear Colton's voice, just check us out, the Call Guys podcast. You can also find us on all your favorite social media accounts, whether that be Facebook, that's facebook.com/thecallguyspod, Instagram, which is at the Call Guys, and TikTok at the Call Guys podcast. Please, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, send us some recommendations for the question of the podcast, what you want to hear in future episodes. Tell us how we're doing. Send us your top 10s, top 5s, top 3 bands, top 5 sports films. Man, we got a whole list. I'm just going to send out a mass email to everybody I know and say, hey, send us your top, and just see what kind of replies we get back.
Yeah.
Because I think that'd be kind of fun. Send those emails to thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. Also, while you're at it, go check out our merch store. That's www.thecallguyspodcaststore.com. Everything on there from shirts to, I would say, underwear, but there's no underwear on there. So maybe one day we'll get some undies on there. And then also, while you're checking out the Call Guys podcast, there will be a link tree in the podcast notes that can take you to all of the podcasts under the Golden Mojo Entertainment umbrella. I about said Golden Image Podcast. The Golden Mojo Entertainment umbrella. So, first off, Golden Image Podcast, facebook.com/Golden Image Podcast. That is me, the Emperor, and Skywalker talking about all things Indiana, and even doing some interviews with people from Indiana that really have influenced us in our lives and been a part of our lives, whether they're old Golden Image Radio guests or just people that we want to come on and talk. I mean, we love to go places and we love to talk about those places just so you know about them, and then you can go check them out and let us know what you think. Also, check out the Murdnerds, who we were just talking about before. And check out their Camp Murdnerds. They just did a really cool thing where they were out at the campground and they recorded episodes sitting around a fire, talking. You can hear the really cool sounds of nature in the background, whether that be the crickets, the birds, the golf carts driving by, because it is one of those campgrounds where it's just roads and there are golf carts and people. But yeah, check them out, facebook.com/Murdnerds. And finally, another one that we actually just mentioned, the United States Paranormal Podcast. It's 2 teams, Team Boogers and Team Tejas, where they talk about all things cryptid, creepy, and paranormal. Facebook.com/United States of Paranormal. Colton?
That's wonderful, brother. Again, thank you again for everything you do and all the listeners out there. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Just
thank you.
I really enjoy this time I get to spend with you and everyone else. It's a lot of fun. And I'm glad I get to be a part of this journey with you.
It is. The previous episode, I hope you all enjoyed it. Colton and I are doing a weird thing where we're just kind of trying to get a couple episodes. We both have vacations coming up. So the previous episode is actually about Obi-Wan, but we have not yet talked about it. So I'm super excited to sit down. I'll be in PA with Chris, and we're going to have Nick, and I'm excited to hear the feedback for that one. So if you're listening to this and you have not listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
I always forget to say that we're also on YouTube. So if you look up the Call Guys podcast or click the link in the podcast notes on YouTube, you can watch our silly faces and all the stupid things we do and see our cool backgrounds.
That's right.
That's right. All right, Colton. Everything good?
Yeah, man. Everything's good.
All right. I want to thank you all for listening. See you next time.